So today I've got Sheryl Newman from Appetite for Business on the Business Spotlight. Thank you for joining me, Sheryl.
Absolute pleasure. Delighted to be here, Brenda. Thank you.
Yeah, really nice to talk to you. So tell me about yourself and Appetite for Business. What do you do?
So Appetite for Business is a niche Microsoft 365 consultancy. So we identified about 7 years ago, just from experience of working in larger organizations, that often new technology is rolled out without any consideration sometimes for the end user or the experience that they're going to have to go through to learn how to utilize this new technology. So we created an offering. So as I say, we focus purely on Microsoft 365. So we help companies from automating manual-based processes to training their users, to supporting their users, to managing their information more effectively. So it's really exciting. I know 2 days are the same in here currently.
Yeah, that's how we like it, isn't it?
Or yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So I love getting out of bed in the morning just to see what challenges we've got for the day ahead, because it certainly makes for an exciting day.
Fantastic. So who are the customers you're working with?
So we've got quite a large spread. Obviously, our kind of main target sector is SME. But we work right up to, so for example, we've got a pharmaceutical company that we've been working with a number of years. So we work across 16 European countries, including Australia. So that's really good fun. But right down, so we work with some renewables companies, construction companies. So there's no kind of one size fits all for what we do. So we really get an exposure to different industries and how we can kind of really affect change for them. So it's really good.
And bigger companies or smaller? The SME is a big range. Are you working with
generally from
micro businesses or?
No. So we would normally say from, I think our smallest customer is maybe around 10 to our largest customer who are enterprise customers. So, you're talking 30, 40,000 seat customer. But of course, we're only affecting part of their business in terms of their digital transformation area. But yeah, so they around about 10, right up to that kind of larger figure. But ideally, we sort of sit in the me marketplace. So ideally, anything up to about 500.
Okay. No, that's good to understand who you're working with. So tell me a bit more about your business then. How big a team have you got there?
So there are 16 of us now. So not a huge team, but we have grown quite organically from a wee small team of 3. So during COVID was obviously, we had quite a large growth spurt during COVID. But now for us, it's around steady state, just kind of managing the team that we have against the customers that we have. And we've also just taken on our second apprentice, actually. So that was really exciting. And we're really delighted to have her here. So we're really keen on kind of growing our own in the business as well. So I think that would make us, 17 now? Yeah. So not too small, but not too big either. So it's quite a nice size. It's a nice size just to manage currently. I don't think I could cope with any more.
That was my next question. As a business owner managing a team, what are the challenges that you've faced in growing that team?
People are always, people are fantastic, but people can also be quite challenging as well. You can take all the care in the world when you're recruiting, and we have a very strong culture here at Appetite for Business, Brenda. We have a team who really have each other's backs. We work very well together. There's a certain expectation of accountability and behaviors that we expect aligned to our values. Values are really important. We do literally hire and fire by our values. They aren't just posters on the wall here. And they kind of run through everyone like a stick of rock. We all share the same mindset and ethos. So bringing someone into that, they really need to fit that mindset, that positive mindset, that can-do mindset. So it does take a while sometimes to find the right people. And we've made some mistakes for them as well as us. So you can do all the checks in the world, but sometimes the fit just isn't there. So that can be quite challenging at times. And you never really know until you have someone in the business how they're going to be. And I think it's also difficult as well when you bring candidates in who've worked for larger organizations, because working for a small business is very, very different. It's sometimes you just have to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty and get involved in things, which in itself is a really positive, because the exposure you get to projects and opportunities is actually huge. You're not siloed into just one small thing. But that can not always work for some people. Some people thrive on just having so much knowledge and opportunity to grow. So yeah, it can be challenging, it can be difficult. So yeah, people can be amazing, but they can also be quite difficult as well. But it's getting the culture right that's the most important thing, and alignment of values.
Fantastic. So if somebody's watching this thinking, oh, she's just described a situation I've got there, I've got somebody who's not the right fit. What have you done to or what would you advise someone who's going through that challenge?
Do you know, I think it's all about open communication, about honesty, and we have our daily stand-ups, but we've also got a lot of close contact with everyone in the business. So we have regular one-to-ones. We have regular questions around how people are, how they're feeling, how they're performing, the things they'd like to achieve. It's a two-way street. They're here as much as we're there for them. So I'm very much about winning together. If they do well, the business does well, our customers do well. So it's everyone's winning. So that's very, very important. So I think it's just about that open conversation and sitting down and saying what's working, what's not working, what can we do together to make this better or to remediate against it. Or then I think it's also about having that open conversation of saying this isn't working. And once you've gone through all those steps, because I don't think you want to give up on anyone. You never want to give up on anyone, but there comes a point where perhaps it's just the alignment's not there. And I think you just need to make the decision, that open and honest conversation for both parties, and just say, this isn't working. What shall we do about this? And coming to that decision together. I think that's important. And it creates trust. It creates trust if you're very open from the start and very, just having open communication is key. I think in lots of companies it isn't there. A lot of people are siloed, or they're afraid to speak to their manager about something. But here it's very important that trust, and you're not going to be beaten down because you've raised a question about something. It's very important to have an open voice and to listen to that voice. Listening and communication. I think that's a long way around of saying that's what's important
fantastic.
to do.
I want to come and work for Appetite for Business.
We actually had an interview this morning, and it was a really lovely interview because the individual had taken a lot of time to research us. He knew some stuff about me that was really, really good. And he's like, what do I need to do to come and work with you guys? Because alignment was just there, it was a good fit. But you can pretty much tell straight away from just someone's actions and how they respond to the questions and the values that you demonstrate and what they give you back. So yeah, it's we don't always get it right though. I'm going to be honest, we don't always get it right, but we're getting it better. We're improving all the time.
Good, awesome. So yeah, talking about, you mentioned during COVID, and you mentioned about improving and getting better. So what are the changes that you've had to implement in your business over the last few years?
So I started the business in a recession. So I've never worked without a challenge, which is quite an interesting thing. So I'm quite used to having my back against the wall. I'm not saying it's comfortable. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's the environment that I started in. So I always knew I had to be thinking around how we progress the business. One thing that's been really important is systems and process. And I'd say that for any small business looking to grow, get the right systems and processes in place at the start. Because once you start onboarding people, they'll perhaps come in with ways that they've worked at another company, and that can then start to dilute what it is that you're trying to do. I'm not saying that you should never refine and make things better, but I think just having that solid foundation of where you're going from in place. So we put in place our systems. We've spent a lot of work over the last 2 years just looking at our systems, working out what was working for us, working out what wasn't, and then changing them to adapt to suit the business better. Because for us, we're teaching our customers how to be more efficient, reduce time and cost. And we kind of have to eat our own dog food. It's very, very important that we can do that. So we constantly have to be refining and improving too. So that is the biggest key thing that we've been doing over the last few years, in addition to the culture work we did at the start of the business. So we got that set from the start and our values. Then we looked at the systems and processes and made sure they were set and correct for what we wanted to do. Because you can't scale without having those in place. Otherwise, you just end up in chaos.
No, I couldn't agree more. As a business coach, it's about the systems and the processes that's going to help them to grow. And I've not heard the phrase "eat your own dog food" before, but yeah, it's congruency, isn't it? And I will use "eat my own dog food" in the future.
And I think it's also as well, I've learned as well, just from like I'd never run a business before. I really had no idea. I didn't have an idea about cash flow. I mean, I know about profit. I mean, I really didn't. And I had to learn these things really quickly overnight. They say, was it cash flow is king? I say profit's queen. These are the most important things in your business. But it's also learning as well that I'm a naturally very kind person. I will always give people chances to redeem themselves because I'm always looking for the good in people. But I had a really interesting conversation with someone the other day. As a business owner, it's okay. It's nice to be nice, but it's better to be kind. And it really resonates with me because it is around having those difficult conversations around making sure that your team are supported and giving them those learning opportunities so they can be better. And also the accountability, giving your team accountability and clear roles and responsibilities. So if they do fail, and it's okay to make a mistake, it's fine. It's okay to make a mistake, and no one should ever be beaten up for making a mistake, but it's how you come back from that mistake and don't repeat it again. And that's those learning opportunities that I think is really important to give people autonomy in a business. And that's something I really actively encourage here.
Fantastic. So you were talking about the systems that are in place so that you can scale. So what are the aspirations for Appetite for Business, let's say in 5 years' time? Where do you want to be?
Brenda, I think what the last 3 years has shown us that I don't think you can ever plan that far ahead. I tend to work to 90-day goals. I think so we've just done that at the start of this quarter. We've put together our 4 big goals that we want to achieve in this quarter and the steps that we need to take to get us to that end quarter and to that end goal. Obviously, I've got a year ahead. I always look a year ahead in terms of the target I'd like to achieve, the types of customers I'd like to be working with. But I think 5 years is a big, because none of us know what's ahead at the moment. I mean, look at today. Nicola Sturgeon's just resigned. I mean, did any of us see that coming? Things are changing so frequently right now, cost of living, recession, war in Ukraine. I think it's really hard to keep up. So I think having these short focused goals is really important. And that's how I prefer to work, because then I feel a sense of achievement that I'm actually achieving something rather than trying to bite off something that's too big for me. And then I get to the end of the year and feel really disappointed. But it also keeps me on track. It keeps me on track for where I want to go. So yeah, 5 years, I don't know. We're very audacious as a business. That's one of our goals as well. I don't know. I just want to be, I don't have aspirations to be a massive organization, but I do love working with the customers that we do, staying with them on their roadmap, helping to guide and support them as they grow. I think that's what I think, and just keep doing what I love. I think as long as I keep loving what I do and the team keep loving what we do, then we'll keep doing what we do. And then when I stop loving it, I think that's the time that I need to reconsider where it is I tend to go. But I'm enjoying being in the business. I love being in the business. I'm thriving, giving opportunities to others to grow and for them to come up behind me and for them to take some responsibility. Maybe I might be working less hours. I think maybe working less hours and giving others more responsibility to take the helm. I think that's probably the realistic answer in 5 years.
Good, awesome. So do you have, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, with hindsight's a wonderful thing, what would be the advice you would give yourself?
Okay, so when I was 18, I've never had a plan, Brenda. I've never said I want to be X, Y, and Z. And I think when we spoke previously, I mentioned I'd seen a post somewhere who said the thing you most enjoyed at most at 7 is what you'll end up doing as a career. And when I was 7, my father brought home a BBC computer, and I used to play games, and I was fascinated, not by the coding aspect, but by how people and technology could work together. So obviously it's come full circle and I've ended up back in tech. But I think life's like a jungle gym, you're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to get opportunities, take them when they come. Don't ever be afraid to take something because it's not right for you. I mean, an example, when I graduated from university, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. I know things I didn't want to do. And I took a job doing some secretarial work. Now my friends were saying, what are you doing that for? And I said, because I've got a foot in the door, I'm earning some money and I'm going to learn. So I think don't discount those opportunities because you don't know where they're going to take you to, and they could lead you on to something else of something better or more aligned to where you want to go. So I think that would be one thing I'd say. A challenge is just a lesson. I think when we get challenges is where we really see what we're made of and what we can do. But I think it always teaches you something that you can take forward and not perhaps do again or help to do better. So I'd say that would be 18-year-old self as well. I'm trying to think what else I would say. Probably the only way out is through. That sounds a bit deep, but I think
Oh,
when
I
you're in a
like
situation,
it.
you've just got to keep going. Because the only way out is through. You don't have any other choices. And I think I've always lived a life of quite deep challenge from different areas from a very young age. And that's my kind of guidance. The only way out is through. You've just got to keep positive and you've just got to keep moving, because something will always change for the better. And sometimes you have to go through those darker periods to get to that light. So that's what I say.
I love it. It's deep, but it's brilliant
It's a bit
piece
deep,
of
isn't it, for a
advice.
Wednesday lunchtime?
I really like that. That's really good. So as you know, I've got a bit of a passion for helping women in business to sort of step up, start up, scale up.
Yeah.
I'm interested to get your thoughts on being a woman in tech.
So, do you know, I was reading a McKinsey report the other day, and I kind of wrote some figures because I was quite surprised still at where we're at. I think they said 26% at C-suite at this moment in time, for every woman that's promoted to leave, which is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite, and there's still a lot of bias barriers around aspects of identity, race, gender. There's still all these barriers that are in place for women. I've never seen a glass ceiling, but I'm not. I used to work in a large corporate, but I think I've always just seen, right, if I want to do something, I'm going to find a way to do it and just find a way. But I know it does exist, and it still does exist, and there's still not that gender balance within organizations. I'm really proud that we've got 50% diversity now. It was something that I always wanted to do. And I actually think it gives you better, people bring different things to the table. Men bring some really great analytical skills. Women bring some nurturing skills and empathy skills. So together it actually creates a stronger organization. And I also think we're missing a trick. I think there's some really fantastic women out there who've maybe perhaps had children, only want to work part-time, but aren't getting the opportunities to work part-time, but I've got some amazing skill sets that would benefit an organization. So I think companies need to look past that and look about what the benefits are rather than what perhaps they might foresee the disadvantages to be. Because I mean, goodness me, women are great multitaskers. The fact that they raise a family and still working, there's so many skills to tap into there, and I think it's something we can all benefit from looking into further. But yeah, there is still, despite all the talk, there is still a huge discrepancy in where we need to be.
And for us as women, as business owners, businesswomen, how do you think we can make a difference and help other women to start up and scale up their businesses, like you've done yourself?
I think the thing, from talking to a lot of other female business owners, the one thing that is difficult is lack of finance. Mm-hmm. It's really difficult sometimes to get the finance to start the business. I mean, I started my business with only £1,000 in the bank. I'm not saying it wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. But I think there's a lack of finance. There's a lack of self-belief sometimes. There's a lack of confidence that they can do it. Because it can be very difficult. You and I both work in very male-dominated environments, energy mm-hmm. sector, obviously myself in tech, it's very, very male-dominated. So I think there needs to be, getting some coaching and some support and mentoring and how to manage the situations and how to deal with situations is very important as well. And coaching and showing role models, showing achievable role models, showing people, not people of massive corporations, but showing people who are really leading the way or being able to grow that business. I think that is really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring to think, I could do that. Yeah, I'm going to give that a go. I think that's, and also just creating those opportunities. I mean, we've just brought in an apprentice who's a young lady. She was working in retail. She could never find the opportunities to get into technology. So we created an opportunity for her. because why not? Why not take advantage of those skills that she quite clearly has that will help to support her growth and our growth too. So yeah, I think it's looking outside the box, looking outside of what you traditionally would think. We always say skills can be taught, attitude can't. So look into those sectors of areas where you wouldn't normally, retail or armed forces, all these areas where we wouldn't normally think, because that can really help to move a business forward.
That's brilliant. Yeah, do something that be inspiring to others, and you're definitely inspiring yourself.
Well,
Sheryl,
I don't know.
So you definitely.
I think
yeah.
One thing that's really stood me in good stead, as I said, Brenda, I've had challenge from a young age. I've always had to work hard to be heard, I guess. But my dad used to, at dinner, at the dinner table, he would always say, okay, so that's gone great for you today, but what didn't go so great for you? What wasn't so well? And it made me unafraid of failure. Because my mom would always be like, you just need to try. That's all you have to do is try. But my dad would be like, okay, what didn't work? So I wasn't afraid of things not working out. So I didn't have that. I don't have a fear of failure. I have a fear of not trying. And there's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, because you never know what you can achieve if you don't try. But if you constantly worry about failing, you're never going to get off the starting blocks. So that's my message. Try.
That's a brilliant message. Oh, thank you so much for being on the Business Spotlight today, Sheryl.
You're so welcome,
talk to
Brenda.
you all day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.